Dear colleagues and friends, welcome to Prelude, an interview series about opera produced by Atelier d'Excellence for educational purposes. The current episode is supported by Operawire. Operawire Editor-in-Chief David Salazar joins, hi David, the panel of interviewers. Our guest today is Mr. Vasco Fracanzani, Artist Manager, representative of LERIN Artist Management. LERIN Artists is one of Spain's most distinguished opera agencies and an AD affiliate. We are very happy for this. Welcome, Vasco. Welcome to Prelude.
Thank you very much for the invitation. Thank you.
And good afternoon, Sami Boyd Ladla, AD Creative Director.
Hello,
happy to have you.
Likewise.
Vasco, how is Spain doing with COVID? How are you there?
Well, actually, I'm fine. And how is Spain doing with COVID? I think we're doing what we can. We are continuing the vaccination process at the speed which we are allowed to, based on the medicine we receive. And hopefully, we will all get vaccinated in time. Some people want to go to the beach. Not my particular case. I can understand how. But yeah, I mean, let's hope it for everybody's health. Let's hope it gets done in time so we can move
Vasco,
on.
with Spain, I mean, over the last year, I think Spain and in particular the Teatro Real de Madrid have been kind of a shining light for the opera world in terms of being able to maintain a consistent flow of live productions. What has been kind of the key to kind of maintaining that, to be able to do the production? Why do you think that Spain's had success where maybe other countries have not?
Well, let me tell you something, David. When lockdown came up and the whole of Spain was closed, obviously this was a very tragic moment for everybody. It was a very sad moment. This notwithstanding, obviously, Teatro Real decided to adapt its facilities, implement all existing and very strict protocols. And so last July, I believe, yes, they did, I think it was 27 or 29 performances of Traviata. And if I'm not mistaken, it was the first full opera show in the world. So something to be very, very proud of. Not only that, they have adapted the theater. So it was an investment of, I'm not exactly sure of the numbers, obviously, but of a very consistent nature. So the protocols, the access protocols for everybody are very strict. Just to give you an idea, every time I go to the theater as an agent or one of the artists we work for, the artist cannot access the theater or any rehearsal rooms without previously having presented a negative test result. They are then tested, I think once or twice, or maybe even more times every week. There is a panel of 4 doctors from 4 different hospitals who update on a weekly basis the protocols. This means that when they did Saga last season, I think it was in October, November last season, this panel decided that the whole opera company had to do a PCR test the morning of the opening show. So, I mean, they've invested huge amount of time and energy in making the theater, and this is very important, making the theater a very, very safe place. Very safe place. Mm-hmm. And there are no exceptions. As an agent, obviously, I cannot present a negative PCR test, but my temperature is taken upon arrival. If for whatever reason I have been running because I was late or anything, then I have to take a small walk. If the temperature is too high, then I obviously cleanse my hands. They give me a new mask every time I go in. So I have to take my mask off and put a new mask. I mean, these are just small little things, but give you an idea of how serious this issue is being handled. And this allows us, fortunately, in Madrid, as you say, a shining light. But I think all of the other theaters, as you know, their will to continue on doing opera and telling the world that opera can be done and is done in a very safe way for everybody.
Exactly.
Yeah, I must say, also here in Germany, this is what we're facing every day because we're still continuing with rehearsals. And so what they do every morning, we do a test before we go rehearsals. And I must say, our colleagues are like really taking care, and everybody's making sure that everything is running smoothly and nobody's is in danger. So this is really such a beautiful and a good thing for all theaters that are doing this test.
Indeed, indeed.
Yeah.
I mean, some other countries have more difficulties, which is sad. But you know, opera can be done. Opera can be done and can be done in a safe way. And I think that's the message that everyone wants to send the world.
Yeah.
Good that we started with such a positive message. So, Vasco, exactly. Vasco, I would like to ask you, in your understanding, is there any difference between a general manager and an agent?
Well, general manager and an agent, are you referring to the distinction between general manager and local agent? Because is that the because
not exactly.
Not exactly.
Not exactly.
Okay.
So by saying an agent, we mean just a booking agent, somebody who is just concerned booking engagements and not taking care of everything that has to do with an artist and his career or her career. So a general manager, in our understanding, is somebody who has to take care of everything.
Yes, well,
a more spherical approach.
I think your definition was, to the point, very precise. Indeed, from my understanding, a general manager has the responsibility, above all, to try and to manage the artist on a 360 degree from a 360 degree angle, whereas a booking agent, mainly what he or she does is, as the word says, book the artist in the different theaters for the different shows, whatever they may be. I think that's the main difference. Obviously, then you would have to go see exactly which general manager in which booking agency. But generally speaking, I believe that could be a distinction, an acceptable distinction.
Mm-hmm.
So Vasco, I wanted to ask you a little bit about LERIN artists management. What do you believe differentiates LERIN artists from other management agencies? How does your approach differ?
Wow, that's a first question. Look at the sweaty.
That should be an easy question, no?
That is a very tough question. Well, let me try and humbly explain how we see the profession. As the name, the agency is called LERIN Artist Management, so it comes from Mr. Miguel LERIN, who originally opened up the agency. I think it was 35 or 37 years ago, and I think the agency, the values that the agency has are the values that Mr. LERIN has been working with his whole life. Mr. LERIN is a trained pianist with huge culture, and he has basically spent his life defending opera and culture and music with values. Well, this is a question of definition, but what are the values? Basically, being serious, being trustworthy, being loyal, being hardworking. As you can see, there are not many, but I believe they're difficult to maintain in this profession. So this is what the agency has always believed in, and in my time with Mr. LERIN, I've had the pleasure and the responsibility of taking on this huge commitment.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
While we're still talking about the LERIN management, do you guys work locally or you work internationally? How do you work? If you can just analyze that for us. Okay.
Well, I think also here we have to go back to when the agency was founded, so 37 years ago. Mr. LERIN started off as a local agent. So with time, obviously, and experience and life, basically, we also work internationally, but the huge or the principal amount of our work is done on the Spanish market. Yes, yes.
We had a conversation before, Vasco, that you do collaborate with other management internationally. If you can just describe us, how does it work when you have a singer there and there? How does it work?
You are referring now what to our international
your international collaborations? Do you have any collaborations with any management that you work with in terms of singers and something like this?
We do, actually. We do. I mean, actually, that's part of me, because we work with some of the world's foremost agencies. So for me, it is a great responsibility to be able to work with these agents who basically define the opera world, and be able to represent their artists on the Spanish market. This is a tradition that has basically started when Mr. Levine started the agency, like I said, 37 years ago, and continues to this day. We have not changed the agents. I mean, the main partners. But this gives us the possibility, obviously, I'm going to put myself here at the forefront. Gives me the possibility to expand my knowledge of the business. And this is very important for me. It's a very serious issue with, like I say, some of the world's foremost agencies and artist managers, people who make the world what it is. And to work for these agents is an honor, and it's a very demanding task. Believe me, demanding task. But I mean, this allows me to try and become a better agent, and it allows Spain to hear, like I say, wonderful voices.
Awesome.
So I think it's a win-win. It's a win-win.
Absolutely.
Also,
I don't have to go there, so at the moment it's working out well.
Also, if I may also add here, it gives us an impression that you also believe, as Atelier d'Excellence also believes, that the future lies in cooperations, that competition should be a noble thing, and that by working, I mean, everybody, of course, should have their own objectives and their own goals, but by working all together in some terms may be very beneficiary for everybody, for the artists and for the agents, and can be noble. It shouldn't be like lions fighting always.
But also, I think we have to go back in time. I mean, nowadays, everything is globalized. So, I mean, you can, even in terms of just looking for an artist, if you have, in Spain, we have maybe 8, 10 main theaters, and then we have other theaters. So any theater at any point in time can go into the internet and look up not only the artist, can look, use YouTube as a way of listening to the artist, and can see who the artist is represented by. So what is we believe that the advantage of the local agent? The local agent is somebody who knows their territory very well, knows the people, knows the philosophy, has been on the territory many, many years, and therefore I believe can assist the general manager in looking for possibilities or increasing the number of possibilities which may be present for a specific artist. That is obviously this has to be done at least this is what we believe in our agency, at the highest level, because we are working with top artists and upcoming artists. But the level of demand for us is exactly the same. Exactly, it does not change. I give you my word on this. It does not change. So if we lose a night's sleep, we lose a night's sleep for everybody. The emerging, the artist who are starting off, and the consolidated artist.
Awesome.
This is our philosophy.
Thank you very much. Vasco, many singers are watching today. We are also singers here. Many of us will stop at some point. We will not go all to the stage of succeeding in an international career. And some of us may become managers, agents, stuff like that. So do you think that there are specific qualifications required in order to work as an artist manager?
Well, that's a very good question, actually. I believe, as in any profession, right. Let me give you an example. In the agency, there are. I have a colleague who is, has been in the agency for almost a year, and he is a lover of opera. I'm a singer, and I think the main point, as in any profession, is. Now I have to tell you one of these truths that make you, make you sweat. I believe the profession of artist management, if you wish to call it that, is vocational. And I stand by what I say. It is vocational. It is, for me at least, something very similar to a doctor, who has to take an oath to exercise his profession. So I think we also, must take an oath to defend the profession. So what does this mean? That you have some specific guidelines, but basically each of us, since each of us are different, brings into the profession something different. But I think the artist management profession is a vocational profession. It's not something that you go into the office at 9, pick up the phone, and at 6, at 2 to 6, you say, "So I gotta go. I gotta go to the supermarket and buy yogurt for tonight." No, it doesn't work that way. You might receive a call while you're buying yogurt at the supermarket from an artist who needs something. And what are you gonna do? You're probably with your phone. You're sorry, and you look at the yogurt and say, "How can I help you?" So it's 24 hours. It's 24/7, in spirit, obviously, in spirit. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the fundamental thing. And then, like every profession, it's know the market players, interact with the market players, and always try and provide the right solution for the right person at the right time, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Did I scare you?
No, we are not scared at all. We just want to know how this profession works, because singers, we see you in a panel, we see you opposite, and we are not thinking how this profession is created, what are the demands, what kind of people you are. So today is an opportunity for us to get to know an artist manager from inside.
Look, this is very simple. You have the institutions, be it theaters, be it concert halls, whatever it is, and you have the artist. And in the middle, you have this person who tries to find a balance, an equilibrium between this and this. So to try and satisfy both sides, the needs of both sides. Now you can calibrate that with whichever way you want, but it's not always an easy exercise, because the balance is sometimes very fragile. So we try to make basically everybody happy. Everybody's different, like life. So in order to make somebody happy, you have to do something, and in order to make somebody else happy, you try and do something, and all of a sudden you have imbalances, and we try and work our way towards the balance point.
So I actually want to focus a little bit
and try
about
and not perish in the in the meanwhile.
I wanted to ask you, Vasco, about your transition from being a singer to being an artist manager. What was the transition like for you? What are some of the challenges that you had to overcome in making that turn in your career?
Well, okay, but this is something very personal. This regards me, and I suppose another artist manager may have a different position. My wish was to be an opera singer, and that's why I studied. Unfortunately, this was not possible for whatever reason it may be. So I spent 8 years in my life working in Germany and working in a financial institution. So that's where I acquired my management skills, and I try and hone them. When I then went into the course, and I spent 6 seasons as a member of the Teatro Real course in Madrid, at a certain point, I was asked if I would like to go into management, and that rang a very nice bell for me because I grew up in the United States. My dad is Italian and my mom's Spanish. I worked in an international environment when I was in Germany in financial institutions, and I said, well, maybe I have something that I can contribute to the profession in terms of international experience, and that's the reason why I went into opera management. Apart from the fact that I love opera, which I guess is important, more or less.
So Vasco, I guess I will go back to the question of Maria. To be specific, let's say there is this singer who's talented, but and nothing is happening for singing for that specific person. Do you advise the person to go and do other things? Let's say they are interested in becoming something like a management or work for an opera house, to be work at the KBB or something like this. Do you advise singers to take other courses that would help them to pursue the career like you did? Basically, you went for marketing, and so would you advise young singers, while they have time, to take extra to do more extra education with management or business management or whatever anything that could help them to become something in the business?
So you're referring to professionals who wish to go into artist management.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You're referring to professionals in terms
let's
of...
Let's say me, I want to stop now and I want to become a management.
No, you can't do that. I'm sorry. I cannot.
No, it's an example.
As your professional advocate, I cannot suggest you take... I'm sorry.
No.
This is live. Everybody in the world is going to see. You must keep on saying.
It's just an example. It's an example. Do you what's your advice? What is your advice on that?
Well, nobody has ever asked me this question, to be quite honest with you. They have in many occasions asked, what does an artist manager do? What do you do? I mean, how do you help her? And I explained, for me, it's very easy because I explain what I do every day. I'm not the bearer of truth. I'm the bearer of my own actions.
Yeah.
Some of them are positive, and I imagine, like every human being, some of them are not so positive. But I can only explain what I do. And if they have additional interest, if this were to happen, then I would suggest, if they wanted to work with a manager, then I would give them my experience. If they wanted to work in a theater, then I would maybe ask one of the artistic administrations, to ask them for a meeting and have them explain what they do. Obviously, I think there's a colleague of mine. No, sorry, not a colleague. He is now the artistic administrator of a Spanish theater, who did a master in cultural management, I believe it's called. Mm-hmm. And part of this master in cultural management, they had different people from the theater, be it general management, artistic management, production, come and give talk to them about what each of them does. So they could get a more or less idea of, if they were interested, what the profession would be like.
Cool. I guess then I'll go to the next question, which is about singers, emerging singers. Is there any specific approach that an emerging singer should take to approach an agency if they want to work? Let's say they want to work with you. Is there any approach that they should take?
Okay. Oh, I love these questions because I have to try and be as passionate as possible, which is not very difficult for me, obviously, as you can tell. But yeah. So an emerging singer, I believe that singing is one of the world's most difficult professions. Mm-hmm. And I say this with the utmost respect. It is a profession where you have no tangible elements. which means basically that in your case, you may be liked and loved by theater A and not liked and not so loved by theater B. Is this an element of sadness? Yes, it is an element of sadness, but it's also an element of reality. And as professionals, we must confront ourselves with everyday situations. So the first thing I say, or I would say, or I would explain is there are some basic, this is like, I tell this to the singers who ask, if you're looking for a job, the first thing you have to do is you have to ask for a job interview. You go and you present your CV and you speak to the person. In this case, you don't speak, you sing to the person. So that person might consider that you are an interesting professional, or might consider you're not the adequate profession for their company at that moment, or might say, thank you very much, we are not interested. It's actually very like that. So the first thing for an emerging artist is, how can we help? We can help by speaking to them, listening to them, obviously, giving our opinion, which is our opinion, Sonny Boy. There is no one opinion. It's our opinion, which we do with extreme respect, but based on our experience. And then say, listen, if you want to work and the theater does not know you, you have to audition. And then we try and set up an audition and then see what the feedback is. So basically, why do I think we can help? I'm not saying that we're important or unimportant. I'm just in terms of general helping, because we know we are the neutral professional. Neutral in the sense that we have the contacts with the theater, we have the contacts with the concert halls, we know our market, and we can give our advice, which is something that usually a young and emerging artist does not know, because who do they speak to? I mean, who do they speak to? And sometimes, this profession is not, it's a very demanding profession, and you need, like every profession, you need to develop your career, which includes, includes triumphs, but it includes mistakes. Let us not kid ourselves. That's part of life. So basically, we can explain how the profession works and try and look for job opportunities. That is basically our role, and that's the reason why we don't sleep at night.
So, Vasco, for you, after you distinguish an artist, you say that this artist is somebody that interests us.
Yes.
Then sending him to the theaters to receive this first feedback from them is like your test to be sure that
it's an interview.
I understand. To see the reaction of the job market to this talent in a way.
Yes. But apart from this, you also have to be very much aware of your market. So I know the Spanish market, and I also know the Italian market. Each market has different dynamics. You have to explain this. In the Italian market, you have a more structured, in the sense of amount of theaters. You have the normal amount of theaters is bigger, so you have maybe more opportunities. Obviously, if you're an emerging artist or you're just starting off and you go to one of the principal opera theaters in Spain, you have to be aware where you're going. That's very important. I think actually, because you have to be aware. I mean, if you're applying for a job, you cannot immediately apply for a CEO. You have to start off in an office. You can also apply for a CEO, but the possibilities of you getting a CEO position are maybe not that likely as maybe an entry position someplace else. And then you can work your way up, obviously.
Quite ambitious, yes.
There are ambitious people there, let me tell you.
True. Vasco, I would like to ask, what qualities do you personally value in a young artist And also, what is your preference in terms of evaluating somebody? You prefer evaluating somebody in a production, on stage, or somewhere privately? What are the ideal conditions?
In terms of vocal conditions,
In terms of seeing him more spherically, maybe, do you think that it's better to see somebody in a production?
Yeah, let me tell you something. When somebody asks us for an audition, comes into the office, you know, the first thing we try and do is make them feel comfortable. It is very true. You're coming in for a formal audition. It is very true. You have to present yourself just as you present yourself when you go to a normal job interview. But we try and make them feel, put them in a very comfortable situation, so that they can basically, because we believe that the more comfortable you feel, the better energy will be created in the audition. And so, you know, this can influence obviously the end result. So this is for us very important. And then in terms of voice, you know what, Maria, let me tell you something. When I started this profession, I had my idea of what a voice should sound like, and I still do, obviously. But then with time, with pain, and with you know, some of the situations I have lived, I have realized that my opinion, or our opinion as an agency, is obviously important. We feel, because we want to help. But an artist may have something, and you know this very well because we had an audition recently with one of Atelier d'Excellence's artists, may have something special. For example, it may be positive energy. It may be, you feel this, you feel they have something special. And because they are young, maybe they are not so round in general terms. So we try and identify, always try and identify the positive aspects of the audition. And with our humble experience, also try and convey what we feel may be the right way to go forward. Listen, perfection is a very philosophical idea. You know, we can spend hours and talking about this.
Let's do it.
Well, let me tell you, we will make a lot of enemies, David. So what are we? I mean, we are working for art. We are working for music. We are working to do something, something artistic, and many elements come together. And not all elements are perfect, but you may find something in the artist, or the artist who goes to an audition may sing an aria with a certain intensity and another aria with another intensity. And you say, how is this possible? Why is it that you sang aria A and it was really, you know, very emotional, and you sang aria B and it was less emotional? Can you explain that? I can't. So it's that's why I say the difficulty is the intangibility of the situation, and the difficulty in real terms. Obviously, you have technical. I mean, you have technical issues, and technical issues in terms of you know, vocal line, in terms of vocal tessitura, in terms of different things. Those are obviously you know, also looked at, because that's our job. But I try personally also for something that artist may have in addition to that. And there have been cases. And that's what makes it special, you know.
So this is mostly a special flair that this person leaves in the atmosphere when he passes and stands in front of you. It is not something that can be explained, actually, is it? It's energetic. It has to do with energy.
But listen, this is as easy as you take any recording of any opera, and you will find people who will adore artist A, and you will find people who, if you were not on a Zoom conversation, would probably, try and pluck your eyes out with artist B. How can you explain that? I mean, why do you want to get rid of my site? Because I think that artist B is not, because that is the profession. I mean, how do you define an emotion? Please define an emotion. If you guys can help me define an emotion, I will be a very happy man.
It's difficult.
And we're talking about very abstract feelings, because it's not just, it's happy, sad. It's much deeper than that. In the middle of listening to a voice in a certain passage of a specific opera, it's much it's very hard to define how you're feeling in a particular moment with a particular voice. I mean, just so many, it overwhelms you in many ways, and you can't grapple with all the things you're feeling at the same time.
Not only that, David, but I feel, my personal experience, you may be listening to an artist at a certain time on a certain day, and your personal balance, your personal internal balance might not be the right one to get, for that artist to convey his or her emotions in the right manner. So what I try and do, obviously, I ask for permission. I record the audition, and I listen to it at different times. Maybe have I been too fast in my judgments? Have I missed out on something? I don't know. This is, for example, when they send us recordings, YouTube recordings. I also take the vocal score. I take the vocal score and look at the aria, look at the line, look at are they really, passionate about what they're saying? Are they saying with? Since I'm Italian, obviously I love my language. So if we talk about Italian opera, this is something that the tears come down very fast. But also for German, I look at a lot of things, because I realize that it's not as easy as following a book. So step 1, tac. Step 2, tac. It's not as easy as that. No, I believe it's my opinion, my humble opinion.
Just to add on that question, Vasco, we consult with so many young singers, and they often say, when we mention some managers, and they always ask this question: do I have to pay a fee to audition for that manager? I'm not trying to put you in the spot or try to undermine other managements that do charge for auditioning singers. But I just want to understand, does LERIN go in that way of charging a singer? Let's say you are approached by a young singer who wants to audition for you, who's willing to work with you. Do you expect the singer to pay a certain amount to audition for you?
But explain to me, apart from that, this is completely, absurd in my point of view, completely absurd. Why?
I don't know, but
I would charge for what? For dressing up with an iron shirt, or what would I charge for?
For bringing your excellency in the room. I don't know.
I
don't know.
We've talked so much with Maria about this, and when we're like, do you have to pay what? A manager, and some of them, they have to pay every month. This is not to undermine what they do, of course, but it's just to clarify, what does LERIN management do? Charge artists to come and audition for you, or?
But do you mean would this be something very similar to when you go to a lawyer and you ask them for you ask them to answer a couple of questions, and they say, well, if you want me to answer a couple of questions, this is going to be my fee. No, the question is no. For me, it makes no sense. It makes no sense.
Maybe we should clarify here that there is a difference between a consultation for a management and an audition. Because after living in New York for several years there, they have the consultation thing. It happens very often, and sometimes it's not very clear whether you're auditioning to get an advice or you're auditioning for a roster. So I think it's smart on behalf of the singer to ask in advance, what is this audition? What is the purpose of this audition? So nobody gets surprised in this way. I think that artists should be a little bit prepared, and it's not only one side's fault all the times.
Sure.
No, but I mean, it makes me laugh, because I don't understand if they come to us, because I'm only speaking about what we do, and let me be perfectly clear about something. they come to us and they ask, "Can you please listen to me?" Of course, I can listen to you. Gladly. I mean, I would pay to listen to them. You know, maybe they give me 15, 20 minutes of the time and I feel something wonderful, which doesn't happen every day, let me tell you. Yeah. So maybe I should be the one paying.
Yeah. But honestly, I also, to be honest, I mean, I don't understand the purpose of why should I pay to get somebody to tell me their opinion. Why? I mean, I do understand that some people have to earn money, but you know, when I started during our time in Zurich, we auditioned for so many managers. None of them asked for payment, and of course, there was one that I tried to audition for before I decided to work with my management, and then I was told that I have to pay for the room and the pianist, and I couldn't understand why then do you put the audition there if you want me to pay for it, yet I have to pay for traveling and I have to pay for accommodation, and you know, I just don't get the logic. How can these young singers from university get that money? Where do we get that money from? I just don't understand. This is why I get a little bit confused, and that is why I wanted to ask you, because there are so many young singers who are in this position. They want management so bad, but because of these expenses, it's just so difficult.
Listen, we have our main office in Barcelona, but I live in Madrid. So it is not the first time that artist, for whatever reason, is in Madrid. I can gladly listen to him or her in Madrid. It is not a problem. If you allow me to be serious, for a couple of minutes.
Yeah, sure.
It is for me personally, it makes no sense. I mean, what am I offering that can be of monetary or can be considered, you know, monetary value? I'm offering my experience, but my experience, Sunny Boy, is my experience. I mean, it's hold on. Sorry, I just sorry about that. My computer just went crazy. Hold on a second.
No, you froze for a second, not much.
Yeah, sorry about that. So what am I offering? All I'm offering is, you know, my humble experience. I mean, listen, when I started off, and I told you I wanted to become a professional opera singer, I encountered people who were nice and people who were not nice. At that moment, I decided that I would be nice, because I did not like the people who were not nice, not at all. So I firmly believe in not doing to your fellow human what you would not want your fellow human to do to you.
Yeah.
I don't know if this makes any sense.
It does a lot.
That's such a basic principle that if it was everywhere in life, the world would be a much better place. But unfortunately, it's not working so well. But it's really great to hear it.
No, but
anyway.
These are our values, so I strongly believe in that.
Sure.
The answer to your question is absolutely not. Absolutely
Perfect.
not. There is no reason.
Great. So all our young singers, they hear you pay nothing. Going on
We actually give out lollipops at the end.
Exactly.
You can choose the flavor.
So I guess I'll get to the other question. I have to be careful how I ask the question.
Yes.
How much do you interfere in terms of guiding a singer with repertoire, and if maybe sometimes you do interfere with singing technique if you have some problems, a singer that you've been working, let's say you've been working for a long time with a singer, how much do you interfere and how do you deal with that situation?
This is a very very delicate question, Sunny Boy.
Yeah.
Because you are a singer.
Yeah.
Maria, you're a singer. David, I don't know if you're a singer. I'm not sure. You're not. Okay.
Not really, no.
He's the CEO. He's the CEO.
But guys, his wife is a singer, so
yes.
he knows.
So I know about, yes, I do know about the daily work that goes into it.
Yeah, and you also know, how close to homicide you can come when you talk about a singer's technique. And so what happens? We are all professionals, so it depends. Actually, we have artists for whom we work for, and we have been working there for a long time. And I feel if things do not or are not working the way they should work, I feel it is our responsibility, because we are advocating and we are protecting artists' interests all the time. I think it is our duty to inquire. Look at all the meanings of the word inquire in the dictionary, right? But it is a very difficult issue, very difficult issue. Would you tell a violin player how to put his fingers? Would you tell a pianist how to play? Would you tell a conductor how to use his? No, you wouldn't.
No.
So I believe in speaking to the person and understanding what his or her technique is like, and trying obviously to help, but you must respect the artist. He or she is a professional, and I believe I am nobody to suggest any type of technical issues. Nobody. Obviously, I have an ear, which I hope works more or less okay. I have a sensitivity, which I hope works more or less okay. So, but I try to put all this to the positive use of the artist. But no, I do not make suggestions. What I can do is, and this I do, is if I feel the artist is, for example, going to debut an important role, what I can suggest is he study or he prepare this role with a specialist. This I do. So because if the role is very important, then obviously it must be prepared. Because remember, we are in a profession where once you go to the theater, you are a professional like everybody else.
Yes.
From the gentleman or the lady who has been singing 45 years to the person who started off last week. You are considered at the same level. So I do insist that the artist go as prepared as possible. So based on the role, I may suggest what do you think? Should we look for somebody who can give you the right advice in preparing this role? And then my job is to go on to the market and look for the right person, based maybe on the repertoire. If it's German repertoire, if it's Italian repertoire, this I do, because I believe that's part of my duties. But I do not give technical advice, no.
Vasco, following up on that, though, do you like when you're working with an artist, do you work on like the long-term vision of what their repertoire might look like over the course of their next 10 years? Is that part of what you do with them in working with them?
Work with them, yes. But for me, it's very important, David, when they go onto the market, it's very important the first step, because as a professional, you don't know how you're going to develop, I believe, unless you start working. So it's very important, the feedback from the theater managers, from the production managers, which means from the stage manager, from music director, if I know him. I try and get as much feedback and convey that feedback to the artist and say, listen, this was you played, I don't know, whatever, even if it's a small role, Giovanna in Rigoletto. How did you feel? What was your impression? Because there is, we're all human, so everybody would like to sing, Turandot, or everybody would like to sing Calaf, and unfortunately, that's not possible. I was telling when we were off the air, Sonny Boy, that I wish I could be tall as he is. I'm not. What am I going to do? I'm going to go into his house and steal, 2 or 3 inches while he's sleeping. You are what you are. But I believe my vocation is to help you be the best at what you are. But you must admit to yourself that you are what you are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or you will never be happy, David. You will never be happy. And a unhappiness in the artistic field is something that I feel very strongly about. Because you're touching sentiments. You're not touching, I don't have enough money to buy a BMW this month. I can live with that.
You are touching a very delicate matter right now, because I feel that as a singer myself, that we are expected to be machines of perfection, and we're human beings, and I don't know how everybody is willing to forgive or forget or be a little bit good, to people who do this such difficult profession. So what you say is very, very important, that we have to deal with human beings, not with machines and not with just a business.
Yeah. I also, just to add on that, actually, I had a terrible experience. Sang a lot at the Royal Albert Hall, but I made a mistake. Drank so much coffee because I did not sleep well.
No,
forgetting that
Italian coffee. That's the point.
I know. I went to a shop in London and I was just like, I really need coffee, and it was Mozart Requiem, and then I get on stage and I was boiling and I was sweating. I'm like, oh my God, I don't have a voice anymore. I kept on doing, my voice was out because of reflux. On stage, I had to go on with the performance, but I could feel that my vocal cords are not functioning and I'm burning and I want to vomit because of the acid that I had.
And just imagine, and you have people who are looking at you who paid that evening's performance ticket, and who would don't know how much coffee you've had and are waiting for you to hear that beautiful sound, Sonny boy.
No, but it wasn't beautiful.
Refund. Tonight is refund.
I mean, the audience is always lovely in London. I must say, it's just another experience at the BBC Proms. Yeah. It's something else. Yeah, I sang, of course, okay, but not my best. I felt so miserable afterwards because, there's always this thing that they won't invite me back if I sing terrible. But I must say, since you're talking about nice people and being forgiving and all this, I must say the BBC Proms did forgive me in that, because they know I've done well before, and it was just a stupid mistake that happened, that I was not fit enough, and they could invite me back, which is great. How do you then, when this kind of situation happens with a singer that you work with for a long time, let's say, is it easy to renegotiate things and hash things out and not look at the mistakes and move forward to future plans? As a manager, how do you deal with that?
But I think, the question is obviously very, very valid, but I think it belongs to life. You encounter difficulties in life every day. Since we talk about singers and so we talk about intangible element, you may have a wrong night, or you may have a wrong audition. I had a case of a wonderful tenor, not in your section, so don't start grinding your teeth. But he went to an audition in Spain, in a Spanish theater, and he thought he wanted to sing something, or should have sung something, and unfortunately it did not work out well. So what did I do? Obviously I believed and I believe in him blindly. So I said, it's done. In Italian we say, don't cry once you have spilled the milk. You spill it, you can't do anything. So I worked towards creating a new possibility. And how did I do that? It took me 1.5 years by, not every time, but keeping the theater updated on his latest engagements. Maybe when it was the right moment, sending the theater a link. And with time, I have managed to correct that.
Yeah.
Listen,
that's awesome.
The greatest artists in the world have a wrong night, Sonny boy.
Yeah.
Are they less great? No, they're not.
No,
they're not.
I think this is, it's so good that it comes from you as a manager, because we tend to expect managers to do miracles, and it's very important for young singers that it is good to be, it's okay to be not perfect, but also we don't have to expect you guys to bring all the jobs. We have to also keep on working and deliver all the time. And so to all the young singers who are watching, it's really very important that we keep our horses up, you know, like let's go for it. For the manager, it's easier than to find things for you, basically.
Yeah, especially because the manager works in he doesn't work under the spotlight. I mean, the manager works in order to create situations. These situations are not created in a fraction of a second. Like I say, in this specific case, it took me a year and a half. That is 18 months.
Yeah.
18 months. And I wasn't sure if I could, you know, redirect the situation. That's what happened. I had no other choice because I believe, like I say, blindly in the artist, and I had to try and redirect it. There have been cases where it has not worked, but it's not life. I mean, is it not true that when we do something in life, sometimes we make a mistake? Listen, when I was singing, listen, I'm going to tell you something. This is funny. When I was singing, through a friend, I got a job, and I thought, okay, I got a job singing. I think it was, I don't remember now. What I did is, another friend told me, another colleague said, why don't you call the institution and ask them exactly what cuts they want to do. Okay, so I called the institution. I told them that I was the person who was going to sing that role, and this was not this does not land very well on somebody else's desk, and I lost the job. The frustration this created was immense. I was young and inexperienced, and it created an immense sense of frustration. And I asked myself, what exactly did I do wrong? I mean, did I, jump over somebody who I shouldn't have jumped over? No, I simply thought that that was the right way. Now, at the time, would I have not wanted somebody to call up the institution and say, okay, hold on a second. But I mean, Vasco didn't kill anybody, but all he asked was information. He's inexperienced, don't punish him for being inexperienced. Explain to him how things work, and let's get on with life. I think that's what I tried to bring to the profession.
Great.
But let me ask you something. But you were talking about pain. You think that they pay so they can have miracles, so that managers can do miracles?
I mean,
no miracles. We don't have the hat. No bunnies.
Yeah.
It's hard work, Sonny boy. It's hard work.
It is hard work. I know.
It's even harder to do it ethically. Any job, not just management.
Yeah.
So I would like to go a little bit back to the issue of the pandemic that has a great impact all over the world. What difficulties did you face as an opera agent because of the pandemic? And how do you think that the pandemic will affect the future of opera, the future of young artists? What should they expect in the new environment?
Well, the first thing we were confronted with was an absolute stop. From one day to another, everything stopped. And this is, like I say, and there was silence. So a lot of people suffered. People lost jobs, and maybe those jobs were their yearly income. And I felt this as a great pain, because there was nothing one could do. I mean, there was absolutely nothing. So it's sadness even to think about it. So we tried to find, remember that it was March, April, May, June, July, basically 5 or 6 months, zero, nothing. There is an artist who I work for, who lost a production. I think it was 15 performances of a secondary role, and that was basically his yearly income.
Oh, cool.
So he lost his yearly income, and he called me up, and he was very sad. He was very sad, and he was very worried. Essentially, he was very worried, and he said, "I mean, what can we do?" So I said, "Well, at the moment, we cannot do anything." We tried and looked for cover jobs in order to, generate some income, some type of thing. It wasn't the same thing, but to generate some type of income. And gladly, there was a production towards the end of the year. One of the artists could not show up, and then he got the job. So he managed, you know, to make up for it. But it was very difficult. Now the Spanish theaters, like I said, more or less, we didn't, apart from the Opera Theater in Bilbao, because you see, you have this in Spain. The sanitary guidelines are not centralized, so each autonomous region basically has their own authority with respect to how many people can go to a theater or not go to a theater. So this, when you have a theater who has 2,200 seats, and all of a sudden they say you can only seat 400 people, this is economy. Somebody explained to me how they can do productions. It is impossible. So they unfortunately had to cancel productions. But I must say, Spanish theaters have worked with such a great amount of enthusiasm to try and, program things for the future. That all of them, I'm very proud of the theaters in my country, very proud. And I say this from my heart. Because they have done, wonders to try and cope with a situation which at times was not very easy. How does this change the market? Well, at the moment, all the Spanish theaters are working apart from one theater. So things have not changed very much. Maybe some availabilities have come up because artists, originally planned artists, could not show up for whatever reason. So, life continues. For the future, most theaters already had their casting done for future projects. So it doesn't change very much. The difficulties sometimes have been when a theater had to cancel, had to reschedule, and the original artist could not participate in the rescheduled production. But unfortunately, that nothing, it's an unfortunate situation, but sometimes nothing can be done. In terms of young artists, I mean, if you believe in what you do, you must fight. You must fight. Fight, obviously, in the positive sense. I'm always in the ethical sense, but because there's nothing else you can do. I say this to everybody. I mean, I can work with situations that I know. There are unexpected situations which make, you cannot contemplate what are they called, endogenous or exogenous? Exogenous circumstances. You cannot contemplate exogenous circumstances. You just can't. So you have to work with endogenous, and you have to, it might take a bit longer, but you have to keep on trying. Keep on trying. It's a very important message.
Yeah.
Keep on trying.
Just want to add one more question on top of this, since you're talking about the pandemic, Vasco. So many young singers in terms of age for competitions and for studios. There's an age limit. Yes. Do you think it would be wise for competition organizers and also opera studios to maybe add more years? I mean, increase the number of the limit age for the competition or studios. What's your take on that?
It's very difficult to be. That's not my sector. I don't know the structure. I don't know the. I mean, it would be very sad for me to learn that an artist had applied for a position in whatever program or competition, and it was canceled, and he lost his chance to participate. If that were the case, it would sadden me greatly.
This has happened, Vasco. We have an artist that was enrolled in an opera studio, a prestigious one, in the beginning of the pandemic, and now she's just considered to have finished. She's not going to go back to this. It's over. It was 2 years, and the 2 years are over in September, and now she has to look for something new. So she lost her opportunities. So I think that, I know that's not your sector, but it's not bad to mention, if some people hear us, because we have a public step here, that it would be good to consider expanding the opportunity, because it was such an unprecedented time for the whole world. It was a condition like a war. A pandemic is a very bad thing for the whole world. So maybe the mind should be a little bit more open in terms of that.
But I mean, I appeal to everybody's sensitivity.
Yeah, cool.
And sense of, there's nothing, basically there's not much more. I mean, I wish I could offer solutions, but you know, one can only appeal to one's sense of responsibility, I suppose.
Sure. No, I didn't mean to put you on the spot. Actually, this
no.
My...
Well, you did actually. That's enough for this interview.
I'm gonna go a little bit backwards, Vasco. What is your view on the ensemble system?
Yes, I love
Germany versus. I mean, I don't want to say versus freelance, but I just want to hear your opinion. What is your view on that? On that?
I have my general view and a specific view. My general view, I believe it is a very well thought and structured way of artists to start their career. Why do I say this? Because, as you know, the opera market is a market where you have a lot of people who want to exercise the profession, and unfortunately, a limited number of possibilities. So, when you have, for example, Germany with a very extended theater system, and they allow you to go into the theater, and based on your preparation, based on your vocal capabilities, etc., etc., they say, well, listen, would you like to sing, for example, I don't know, 15 Rigolettos, 25 Nemorinos, and maybe 5 Borsas in 2 years, you know? And for that, I will hire you these 2 years. You will not only learn the role, but you will sing the role, which means you will develop the role. And not only that, I will offer you a monthly salary. I think it's wonderful. Wonderful. Because basically, it's an entry point job. We're talking about before. It's an entry point job. I mean, once you're in the job, it's your responsibility to show what you can do. Where do you want to go? And there are an extended number of cases which prove that this works. You know, people could go on with a profession, and you know, could continue doing what they feel is right for them because they had this type of situation. And this is generally speaking. Specifically, there are a couple of cases. For example, we have an artist who has now been accepted in the young singer program at the Staatsoper in Berlin. And I think it's a wonderful occasion for him. Because he will be basically put in a real environment, but slightly protected because it's a young artist. So he's not a normal opera, but he's going to see people who work on an international level. He's going to be working, hopefully, side by side with them.
Yeah.
I mean, what can you hope for? I mean, that is magic. That is real magic.
Yeah.
Then it's obviously up to the artist to look for inspiration, look at how the great singers work, speak to them. I mean, you're putting that person in a wonderful, in a magical situation. So I very much agree. Very much agree. I understand that sometimes it's hard. Because sometimes, you know, based on your repertoire, you might be singing 5 or 6 times a week, different roles.
Yeah, so true.
That's also true.
But I think it has to also, the singer has to be mentally ready for this kind of job, because you can't really put yourself in a situation where you can't handle anything, and one should expect to not sing only the beautiful roles. No. There are also interesting roles that can help you to develop in a funny way, in a different way, find new things in your voice, which I mean, I'm so blessed, really. I started as a freelancer for a while, and then now I'm in an ensemble. It's another platform, and I'm learning a lot about myself every day. And I think it is so important for young singers to start in an ensemble before they go out and try to be freelancers, because in this way, anyway, you get to know what repertoire that fits you well. Because I think the mistake that I made, no, it's not a mistake. And my voice sits very well in Rossini, right? And then I felt like the reason why I went to the studio, maybe you will agree with me or with my choice. The reason why I went to an ensemble, I find myself being hired for this only few roles that I sing Rossini, only Rossini. And I thought, I am better than that. I have more to offer. What else can I do? And I spoke to my manager. I mean, she's a nice lady, and she was like, look, there's only one way we can go. If you want them to see you as a Nemorino, why not go in an ensemble try for a few years, and then we see what happens, and try the roles while you're in an ensemble. So I do really suggest to singers that they should consider being in an ensemble. But it is hard, but as well, if you are ready and if you know what you want, I think it won't kill you, really.
And if it does,
if it does, then
what a wonderful way to die. You know, how did that guy? He said he died singing La Furtiva Lagrima. What? That was the end of it.
I also think it has to do with the environment, that your surroundings, your people that you consult with. If you have a good management that is taking care of you, they can also, find a way. I mean, I don't know if you'll agree with me. If I have a problem, of course, I always go to my manager and say, listen, this role is really not mine. Can we find a way that I do something else instead of this? I mean, I'm not saying this happened, but I think this is what should be done. If we feel like a singer is like, okay, I can't do this now, what other options do I have? And I think it's negotiable. And I think one should just have courage to speak to the manager and guide you to the right directions. Because at the end of the day, in an ensemble, it is harsh because you sing everything. And if you don't have a strong foundation of people that really help you to guide you to the right direction, it can be difficult.
True, very true, very true. Yeah. But then again, like I say, it allows people. I mean, the ensemble system in Germany is a system, for example, that in other countries does not exist. For example, in my country, it does not exist.
Yeah.
For the purposes of the tradition. I mean, you have seasons, so you cannot have an ensemble in a season theater. But I'm sure this for young artists, it gives them the possibility of additional and very necessary training, and to work with people at high level, conductors, stage directors. You get to know the profession. So if you're going to try out a role, why not try it out, if you can, in a protected environment?
Yeah.
Which means, if you make a mistake, nothing happens. You think about it, you work on it, and but sometimes if you're trying that out in a freelance position or as a freelancer, if you make the mistake, what happens, Sonny Boy? You are maybe not stigmatized, but you say, that's Sonny Boy. He's a nice guy, but he's not Nemorino.
Exactly. I mean, I must say, in the ensemble, it opened my eyes in a different way. I mean, really, I feel so protected, because I mean, also the team in the opera house, the music team, they're all like, they want the best for you, which is great. And it's so rare to get these things. And so I do really recommend that ensemble is really a great place. You just need to be smart and to be open-minded, and also to be well-spoken. When you don't feel like you are capable, say it. And I think this is important for young singers, because we tend to take everything just because the opportunity is here. Speak out, talk to your manager, and find ways to have a balance. And I think in that way, nobody will be hurt.
Yes. And you are somebody who has, you feel very strong, but remember, the world is multicolored. Not everybody has the possibility of speaking out, Sonny Boy.
Yeah, sure. I do get that.
One must be respectful and take into consideration that you are a very fortunate artist. You can say sometimes, and sometimes we cannot say.
Yeah.
But then you can call your manager and tell him, I want to talk to you about something that I'm actually not allowed to say publicly or openly. And then it's basically it's our job to speak to the theater, to the artistic administrator and say, listen, how would you feel if they know you? Obviously, Sonny Boy's trying. What do you think? Why not try? What do you think about it? It's actually it's teamwork. I think you define it very, very well. It's teamwork. It's teamwork, and teamwork is important. Obviously, when you have such great team members as yourself, teamwork is fantastic.
Oh no, you have to come to Hanover. It is packed of fantastic singers. You know what I like about Hanover? Honestly, the reason why I love this ensemble, there is so much competition. The singers are freaking fantastic, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I want to steal that. I want to steal that. So that I like to be challenged, and I think challenge always make you a better person. If you are surrounded by good people, like good singers, really, this opera house is beautiful young singers. They are so vocally talented, and sometimes I'm like, oh my god, I have to work hard to get there, and they just do it, and I'm like, damn it, how do I get there? And I'm being encouraged to do better. So I love Hanover.
And not only that, I think it also has a very very important psychological consequence. It strengthens your self-esteem.
Yeah.
There's a manager, an American manager I work with very often, and who I owe a lot because he has an encyclopedic knowledge of opera, and it's a pleasure to speak to him. And he tells me, you know what, Vasco, I tell this to every singer: remember that once you are on stage, you are the best in the world.
Yes.
When the curtain comes down, we'll talk about the rest.
Yeah.
It's easier said than done, Sonny. But you sing, I don't. So you can tell me if I'm incorrect in my assumption.
You're very correct. You're very correct.
But it's also the manager's. It's part of the job of the manager to boost the self-esteem of the singer. Because if I understand well to whom you are referring, this person was boosting the and still does the self-confidence of his singers, because I have heard many examples how he uplifts them. So this is a part of the talents that an artist manager should have, as we discussed in the beginning.
Yes, and if there's something to be said, and this is as an advocate, I see the role of the artist manager as an advocate, as a lawyer. I'm advocating for in this case, not a client. I'm advocating for an artist. So I must bear upon myself the obligations of advocating, which means I go, and if you feel that this artist is really the right artist for the right role, you must go and advocate correctly, ethically. Yes, definitely, but you must advocate with concrete examples in front of in front of a panel, and that so the artist should not see that in the sense that all the dirty work, and understand me here, dirty work should be done by somebody who can then take all that information, process it, and then transfer it to the artist and say, listen, maybe this is not the right time for this role. What do you think? We work on something else and prepare it, and then see maybe further on. But, sometimes artistic administrators do not say things as they should be said because of obvious reasons of education. And so it's our task to take that and explain it to the artist as a team.
Yeah.
As we go to the end of this conversation, the very insightful conversation, I would like to ask a very general question. How should young artists plan their breakthrough in this opera world, in this new environment after the pandemic? What are the keys, in your opinion, for somebody to break himself out of the world?
Listen, I'm a stark advocate of competitions. if possible, young artist programs, because I believe the young artist program is the transition point between a protected environment and a real environment. So I advocate very strongly for young artist programs. But if this is not possible, or in addition to this, you have competitions. Competitions are real environment. You find yourself in front of a judging panel, and you have people who, are administrators, music directors, whoever they may be, who are the profession. You have to be ready for what they say. But it gives you, you can use that as not necessarily as a means of being a star, if that is what the term you wish to use, but as part of your career development. I take my stuff, I go to a competition, I show what I'm capable of, and then I'm ready for feedback, which I must learn to judge correctly. So basically, not decide that I'm going to, from now on, I'm going to dedicate my life to, picking, working in an office, but, try it and obviously never feel defeat in front of what you may feel is defeat. It's part of life. So, young artist programs, competitions. I feel personally it is very important to start working. I have seen many examples of artists who need to be on stage, need to feel what stage is like, need to have colleagues, need to have a stage manager, need to have a stage director who tells them, explains to them the concept of a production. And this gives them a lot of self-esteem and makes them grow. So I feel it's very important to start working. If you're lucky and you can start working in your country, fantastic. If you have to pack your bags and look somewhere else, one is young, one can do many things.
Mm-hmm.
Well said, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Vasco. Thank you very much for joining and for sharing your experience today with us and with the audience, and for helping us understand the complexity of your profession, because it's really a complex thing to be an artist manager. And we would like to thank from our heart as Atelier d'Excellence LERIN artists for supporting AED's mission to stand by young artists in these difficult times. And we need to underline that you offer your services to Atelier d'Excellence pro bono. You never take any compensation to give your consultation and
your good vibration.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And also, I would like to thank, for the same reason, Operawire and David Salazar for supporting the episode, and Atelier d'Excellence, and all of you who attended once more. And thank you very much for your attendance. Wishing you health and all best until the next time we meet here at Prelude. Actually, week. We make a break for next week. And of course, Sunny Boy Dladla, my alter ego at AD. Thank you very much, Sunny Boy. All the best. Stay well. Thank you very much, Vasco.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, LERIN artists.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, David.
Take care, everyone.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.